Ronny Dahl, fourwheeling.westernaustralia.com. Welcome to stage 5 of the Landcruiser. Continuing on from stage 4, I'm now going to show you what has been changed since then. Now this video has been highly anticipated, so I won't keep you too long. Rightio, as you can see, the vehicle's still pretty dirty, red dirt on it. That's because I just returned from the Pilbara. And I wanted to record this before I wash the vehicle. I need to get this off because this can be corrosive, this red dirt. Anyway, just a quick disclaimer. This vehicle right here, my Landcruiser, I have everything that's on it and the vehicle itself. 90% of everything we're talking about here, or you see on the camera right now, I have paid for out of my own pocket. Now, the other 10%, I've been helped out maybe with a bit of price, or I've been given items to test out and put on the vehicle. So there are two main differences and changes to this vehicle. And one of them is the driveline, suspension, tyres, shocks. That has had a major change. And then the other part is on the back, which you can see a quick sneak preview of that. That's going to be at the end of the video, so you're going to have to wait for that, or you can skip to it if you want to skip the first part. That is the main favourite part that I've changed on the vehicle. So let's start with the bottom of the vehicle and work our way up. Okay, so here we go. I've got a lot to cover, so I'm going to try and be as quick as I can, but give you as much detail as I feel you need. And if you've got any more questions, put them down below as you're watching this video. So let's start with the new tyres. Yes, I've gone back to mud terrain tyres. What happened with the general grabbers? They were good. I really like the tyres. There's a tyre review for them. The reason why I changed is because when a tyre gets to 50 or 60% tread left on them, I sell them. And the reason why I sell them at that point is because someone will actually buy them. And then I use that money towards the next set. This set being the Toyo Open Country mud terrain. So now I've gone back to a full mud terrain, 315 75 R16. So far so good, 6,000 Ks. I'm not going to give you a comprehensive review on it because it would just be complete and total utter BS because I haven't had the longevity tests of them. A lot of people out there, they'll get a new set of tyres, within 15,000 kilometers, they'll do a review, and that is just not right. You've got to drive them for at least 40 to 50,000 kilometers. I generally work on 45,000 kilometers. Because that gives me 5,000 kilometers to find a new set. Okay, suspension. The coil is the same, XCR, EFS. Hasn't sagged enough to warrant replacing it yet. In here I have the shocks, new shocks, Fox shocks 2.0 with the remote reservoir. The reason why I have changed them was because the other EFS XTRs were completely flogged at 80,000 Ks, completely flogged. I could move them like this, like a accordion pretty much. These have a remote res. Now, I've paid for these myself as well, so just a disclaimer there. The only thing I had help with here was on-track fab. Did some clever mounting. They did this really cool mount on top of the coil tower. So cheers Luke, clever thinking there. And on the back, he's mounted them to the bash plate on the fuel tank, but up and out of the way so they can't get hit by stones, sticks or anything like that. It's a really clever spot to mount them. What's the point of having a remote res canister, you might ask? If you do a lot of corrugation, bumpy roads or sort of high-speed driving on the gravel roads out there in the bush, these will keep your shock cool and will help prevent them from being overheated, which will then cause fade in your shock, which happened to my previous shocks. So that is why I've gone for a remote canister. Here's something interesting. On Brian's Jeep, my dad's Jeep, the green one, he's actually putting the same shocks in his, but without the remote canister. So when we go on a trip together, when he finally gets the Jeep on the road, I can do a heat comparison test on him. So that'll be cool. Anyway, a bit off topic now. So far so good with that new shocks. It's day and night compared to before. Now it is an unfair comparison because the XTRs were flogged out and these are brand new. But like the rebound, how it absorbs it with these is just magic. I absolutely love them. On the road, really good handling. So far so good. Longevity test currently in progress. Big things have happened to the rear. I bent my previous Toyota axle. I've been driving around with a bent axle for nearly a year, maybe a little bit more actually. But some months ago, I had the rear differential change. I now have the track correction. Here's more detail on that. All right, so I did exercise my options and did a lot of research, and at the end it came down to price because, you know, I paid for it myself, of course, and I ended up going for the Jmacx one. And right here you can see this is a factory differential from a 70 series, and this here is the Jmacx kit which I have gone for. And on my Landcruiser right there right now, Simon's draining the diff oil and getting ready to pull that diff off and replace with that one. And as I said, I did exercise all my options. I looked at the Dana 60, which doesn't look like a bad kit either. That actually replaces the whole differential and everything. You get a stronger differential, but you lose the clearance on it. That's that bright blue one you may have seen. And then there's True Track Correction, which extends your existing axle out. But I'm pretty sure the shafts you get with True Track are still just your mild steel or your high tensile steel, not your chromoly. With the Jmacx kit and the Dana 60, you get the chromoly shafts, which are super strong. And it corrects the track as well, of course, which is the main reason. But my reason was I had to replace my housing, and a factory housing costs almost the same as the Jmacx version of it.
Right, so we're at the final stages of finalising the track correction diff into Ronnie's car here. So pretty much yesterday we've got the diff in, all the brake lines back in, we've got everything almost ready to bleed up, calipers, backing plates, wheel bearings. We're actually trialling some different greases with wheel bearings with temperatures, and you know, we've had guys ask issues with wheel bearings and failures and stuff like that. Given Ronnie has had a wheel bearing failure, we're out to try something different. The other thing you may see in the background, also we replaced and we're trialling out something different with the suspension. We're going to try parabolics. We've heard lots of pros and cons, but we thought who better to try them out than Ronnie, given we have had some issues with the leafs that were in them. So yeah, we're going to try that, see how it goes and get some honest feedback. And obviously Ronnie's had the other leafs, the original diff in the car for quite some time, off-road, different conditions, so we can get some real world testing and results and what the car handles like and how the parabolics fare and yeah, what the car will drive like. So pretty much we're just going to slide the axle in. We've got new seals in there. Just gently line this up. Now these axles are fully floating. So whereas the original one had the cap on it.
So there's been a couple of other improvements that I've done as well. I've extended the brake bias compensator up, and what that does is when you lift your vehicle, you really need to lift this up, and it helps apply the correct amount of braking. Without it, the brakes are too soft, they're too doughy and not responsive enough, so it's about time I did that. And then over here I have put this steering dampener in. That's the red one there. I had a factory one before, so I'm curious to know if it's gonna you know, improve a bit on the kickback I get on the steering and just general vibration, so we'll see. Welcome back out here. You also noticed that the rear suspension was changed, the parabolics. So before we get to the parabolics, I'll talk about the rear differential. Does it feel any different than when I have my offset rims? Nah, feels exactly the same. But I know it's pretty much indestructible. Chromoly shafts, they're not going to break, fully floating, so they're not going to jar and then snap. There's no weak points on them. The differential itself can actually carry more weight. It's not going to bend because it's gussets, it's a lot stronger, really heavy duty made. So basically extra security, and I now no longer have to run different offset rims, so now I can fully rotate all 6 rims proper. Now onto the parabolics. I've spoken to a lot of people that own suspension shops and just other various people. And most of those people advised me not to go for parabolics because they heard they were no good off-road, which is really funny. And most of these people I managed to get out of them if they actually had experience with them, or which previous vehicle did they have them on. And all of them had no experience with them. It's just something they heard secondhand from someone else, you know, and people just take the word for it. It's funny, it's with a lot of things. Something gets a bad name, word just spreads around. So I'm not going to get into it too much because we've got a lot to cover here. I may do a specific video on parabolics, but I can tell you this is probably one of the best things that I've ever done to any suspension on any vehicle I've ever owned. These parabolics are super awesome. These are second-hand, keep in mind. 23,000 kilometers on them. The car actually flexes now. The Landcruiser, the 79 Landcruiser actually flexes. I've even had people in an 80 behind me going, wow, you've actually got flex now. To the point where Torben and Wayne, they've actually gone out and they've got their own parabolic suspension as well now. They've got different brands, they bought brand new, mine is second hand. So it just goes to show, don't always believe what people say. So now at the back of the vehicle, the frame you've been eyeing off for a while probably. I'm guessing you have. This wasn't on in part 4. But this is now a major piece of part 5. What this frame is doing, it acts as a wheel holder on the back, double bag holder. These are done by my mate from PM Canvas. So Nathan, thank you very much. He knocked up these bags for me. It also holds the frame from the headboard to the rear headboard, which on top of that I have solar panels. But I can also take the solar panels off and make it into a roof rack. So I'm still toying with what I'm going to do there. But at the moment it's dedicated for solar panels, which I'll get to later. So this bag here is for wet weather gear and dirty gear. Rain does go through and it does dry in the sun. So surfing, perfect spot. This bag here is for my toilet paper and baby wipes. So I now have 4 camping lights in total. On the back here I have 2 Lightforce 20 watt rock lights, I believe they're called. And then on the screen now you'll see on top of the box, the new box, and on top of the old box, which is a temporary box, I have 2 10 watt lights from Livet Lighting. And the reason why I've gone for 10 watt lights is because 20 watts is too much shine out to both sides without putting a dimmer on it, and you know, there's no point in putting a dimmer on it. If you're going to dim the light, what's the point of having 20 watts? So I'll put 10 watts there. Perfect kind of light for camping. We're nearly there. We're nearly getting in here. So just hold on to your horses for a bit. On top of my roof rack, look on your screen, because the bag's not there now, another bag done by PM Canvas. This bit of canvas here on the box, which we'll get to. On top of my roof rack, I have 2 new goodies up there. A gas bottle holder, and the other one is a really cool, probably the best set of Maxtrax holders that I've been able to find. A Tracklander accessory, both of them. The reason why I think that Maxtrax holder is so good is because I've gone through straps. I've seen how difficult the Maxtrax pins can be sometimes to use because you have to lift them in a certain way. These, however, it's just a clamp you unlatch and you latch back on. And if you have Maxtrax, you can fit 4 on there. But if you have a generic brand, or if you had Treads or some of the other generic brands, you can only fit 2 tracks. So it's more like a Maxtrax design, well, it's designed for Maxtrax. It's finally time to open my favourite part of the vehicle. Now obviously the tray is covered in part 4, so if you haven't seen stage 4, part 4, go there because there's too much to talk about here. I don't want to repeat things. So here we are. Box designed by me with a lot of help from CNS Canopies, or Joe at CNS Canopies. Really happy how this turned out. Now, I was advised to go for the door the whole way, but this is my idea because I like the look. It looks different. And I didn't go the whole way because there's something going above this which will be revealed in stage 6. Anyway, we're on stage 5. So there we go. So what I've done is, it's more of an entertainment, but it's also a bit of a kitchen area. Now there's no microwave, there's no coffee machine, there's none of that nonsense because I don't glamp, I camp. Now you might look at this and go, well, that's glamping anyway. Maybe it is, but it's not glamping to the extreme point. So what I have here is a table with a table. This thing here, I added myself. And the reason for this is so this table doesn't lock, right? This one does. It can come out and it can catch on this. So I took it for a test run before I went to the Pilbara, and that's what I found. So I went to a rubber shop, or Clark Rubber, and got a crutch bottom, you know, on your crutches when you break your leg or whatever, and that fits perfectly here. So that worked out really good actually. So that is the bar. Also a place where I can prepare sandwiches and whatnot. This drawer fridge, this is an Engel drawer fridge. That opens up and here we go. Let's make some sandwiches. Hey Marley, meatball. Sit. Good girl. There you go. More later, okay? She loves meatballs. Ouch. The vehicle's lower than where I'm standing. Alright, so this is designed for someone who's 6'1", i.e. myself. So anyone who's lower than 6 foot, they're not going to find this practical because they're going to be too high with their arms to do stuff. So this is designed for me. So table's away. This is a pantry. Behind the pantry is a battery, more on that later. And in here, so this is a 30-litre drawer fridge. Here is a 40-litre combination fridge freezer, meaning it can either be one whole fridge or it can be divided freezer and fridge. And this is why I chose this fridge, because when you think about it, you're at home, you have your refrigerator at home and you have your freezer. Your freezer compartment is quite small in comparison to your fridge. The same thing goes for when you're out in the bush, right? You don't need that much freezer. But if I want a little bit more freezer, I can, because I can either go 13 litres freezer or 27 litres refrigerator, or I can go 17 litres freezer and then 23 litre refrigerator. If I'm out there and I've used all my frozen stuff, I can then pull a divider out and the whole thing can turn into a fridge, which also means a bit of a power save because I can adjust it up here from freezer to fridge, which I have done actually, because there's no more frozen stuff in there. Look, it's quite high, but I realised this in my design. But I can still reach, I can still see into it. Also, for my wife, who's a little bit shorter than me, she's still quite tall, she's got a step. But usually I'm the one who looks after the cooking and fridge when we go camping. Handy little addition I didn't show you before. There we go, holds it up. There are some things I've done there as well to keep the heat out. And up here, I have reflective foam also in the ceiling of this box. And actually, while I'm on that, I've got a piece in the vehicle which I brought out specifically so I can show you. Now I looked for this stuff for ages and I just couldn't find out where people got it from. And I finally found it at a rubber shop, which happened to be Clark Rubber. And what you do is you peel the paper off and then you stick it on, you cut it to size. It's really easy to cut, Stanley knife, scissors. But while I was there, I used to put foam down on certain things to stop slippages and stuff like that. I found this heavy duty stuff here and it's so good. So if I park on an angle with this table, because the bush is always uneven, things aren't going to slide off. So I have looked in hardware stores and stuff. You will find one, but you won't find the other. So look, my advice is just go to a dedicated rubber store and you can get what you need. I can't remember what these are called, but I had a lot of trouble finding these. So I'm actually going to put this in the description below because I know I'm going to get asked, what's that called or where did you get it from? This rubber, by the way, it's in the bottom of my pantry. It's on top here. I charge my iPad, and as you can see, I'm charging my GoPros up here as well. They won't slide around even in corrugation. And on this removable shelf here, there's also a layer of it there. Here's another thing, just a cheap thing from the hardware store. A little drawer here. So I got that from Bunnings, which is a hardware store in WA or in Australia. Really handy, keep all my stuff in there. It's always Velcro down as well, just 3M Velcro, really strong. On the side here, got some cable holders, which I ripped out of the old box. Down the side here, there's a gap. Cutlery. Now this one's really cool. This is by Grab Me Gear. Really cool idea. So you can see through it. It's canvas, so it breathes. It's just a cool idea. And you can slot these in bags. But this lives here. Also, keep a cutting board. And I'm back onto the old trusty plates. To the electrical stuff. This is where things get a bit interesting. I'm going to cover it really briefly because I'm doing a specific video just on the electrics. Otherwise this video is going to be so long. Everything in here is powered by the Manager 30, the Red Arc Manager 30. And what this does is it factors in solar power, alternator power from the front, or the front batteries. They all go into this unit here. Even a household plug, an AC plug at home, I can plug that in too. This is the Manager 30 panel. So I can see what everything's doing. So at the moment the battery is at 82%. Solar, I'm getting 77 watts in at the moment, which is pretty good because the sun's on an angle today. The car's on a side angle. That's not bad. The solar panels on top are 160 watt panels. Behind here I have a Red Arc 700 watt inverter, 2 trip switches, and after the trip switches I've got everything fused. But like I said, more on that later. I'm big on having a white light, a yellow light and a red light. White light giving you the best light, and you can actually see the color of things you're looking at if you need to. Yellow light reduces the bugs a bit, which I've covered it in another video. And then the red light, that retains most of your night vision, so you can still see in the dark better than if you saw a white light or yellow light. And instead of having a white, yellow and red strip in here, which means triple the wiring, I ended up getting this system. I can change the color to whatever I want. So here is a closer look at the lighting. This one does the light with all the different colors. This one does a single 10 watt light force flush mount light in here. I've got the cable going for the channel. And these two do the camping lights. This one's for the 2 light force 20 watt rocks at the rear. And this one here does the 2 10 watt livet lights on the sides. Also charge port up here. DC cigarette lighter plug, one down here. Rightio, so there's a couple other things I would like to show you which are vehicle related, and this is stuff that's quite new and needs a bit of a test as well. So I found this cool stuff in the US, and when I first saw Factor55 stuff was on Modified episode 29, the one with the 76 series. This winch hook here from Factor55, really cool looking hook. I like the rubber bit, that's what made me want to get it to start with, and also just the versatility of it. Your normal Kelvin hook can be quite sharp,
So I tend to like putting straps straight in. On a Kelvin hook, they can kind of wear at the strap a little bit. This one here seems to be a lot more rounded, smooth, and which is why I decided to give this a go. Also, you can fit a bow shackle through this hole, and you can fit a bow shackle in here as well, so you can hook something straight up. But something to hook up, soft shackle. Now this is a really cool idea, the soft shackle. So this will actually eliminate metal flying around should something go wrong, should something snap. So I ended up getting 2 of these. I haven't even tried them yet, but I'm eager to give them a go. These are instead of a metal bow shackle or D-shackle. Really cool idea. Then also got these short straps here, and what these are good for are joining straps, and also if you bend, say, a steering arm or a bash plate, you can use these instead of a chain and to be the part that pulls on it, that's attached to it, rather than your Kelvin hook or a chain. You'll be able to use a strap like this to sort of straighten your steering arms out. And this is just a smaller one here, Shorty 2. What's this one called? Shorty 3. But that's not the only thing I got. Here's something I hope I never have to use. Well, in a way I wouldn't mind trying it out. What this is a device so you can splice your rope with, and I'll just pull it out of the packet and show you. It consists of these 2 devices here, and this device is for using to splice your rope should your rope snap. This kind of nylon rope here. So it's basically a splicer, and it's even got your berry by rope diameter. Yeah, pretty cool, because there is a way you can splice your rope and stuff, but it's pretty complicated. This thing here simplifies it a lot more. It comes with instructions. Too hard to explain without actually doing it. So one last thing, in the interior I'm now running 2 separate mapping systems. Well, they're both HEMAs, because I received the HX1 to test out before it was actually released, and I've had it for a while now. But to start with, I didn't know how to use it, so I started running 2 mapping systems, the old HN7 and the HX1. And then when I finally learned how to use the HX1, I then realised the benefit of having both the HN7 and the HX1, because the HN7 doesn't have as detail for zooming in, but it's a great mapping system for the overall view. And then with the HX1 being able to zoom in a lot more, I would use the HX1 for right in on detailed, so I'm a bit more accurate with where I'm driving and finding waypoints and points of interest. For HN7, I would use that as an overall, so your overall planning map. I was initially going to get an iPad and run that as a separate mapping system, so I had 2 different things. But at the moment, I'm pretty happy with how I'm navigating with the 2 mapping systems. Now, of course, I don't need both, but I have both, so I might as well use them. And it's quite beneficial, especially when you run tag-alongs and stuff. You can't take the wrong turn. You need to be on top of things. And yeah, so that's pretty much it.
I know there's going to be a lot of questions, so look, just put them down below. I am back in civilization now, so I can actually answer your questions. Last 2 weeks I've been away, out remote country, no phone reception. So good when there's no phone reception. So look, if you have any questions, down below right now. Stage 6 is in progress, planning. Some really cool things to finish the back off. And yeah, you can subscribe somewhere here. You can help support the creation of content like this or any other video at patreon.com/Ronny Dahl. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.